What's your opinion on this man? Go ahead, pause the video. Pop it down in the comments. While you're there, let me know also who your favourite driver and your favourite team is as well. No, this isn't a strategy for increasing engagement and appeasing the YouTube algorithm. It's about understanding bias. Kia ora, I'm Kimmy and I talk about Formula One in the world's second worst accent. When you think about drivers who've experienced the full weight of the F1 fandom's ability to spew online vitriol, you probably think about people like Lance Stroll, Nicholas Latifi, Nikita Mazepin, and of course there's the Hamilton haters, and Max Verstappen's always there with his eternally polarizing presence. You probably don't think about Carlos Sainz. Unless, well, the unless is kind of the point of this video and you'll have to be a little bit patient with me there. No, for most F1 fans, Carlos Sainz is kind of difficult to hate, or he just doesn't even really register on their radar at all. He's smart, he's hardworking, he's polite and well-spoken, he's not the fastest guy in the field, but he is still pretty rapid. No team he's ever worked for has ever had a bad word to say when he's moved on, and he's really, really ridiculously good looking. Don't come at me with weird comments about my gender for that last one. There's plenty of supposedly straight guys on Twitter and Reddit who'd put him in their hall pass list without even having to think about it. Sainz is just a really kinda likeable dude. Until we get to the unless. There's a very specific subset of F1 fans who have made it their hobby to spew vile hate about the guy. Like, I mean, severely messed up stuff. And no, I'm not going to go posting receipts, just trust me, I've looked deep into the trenches. People who just really, really love to spend their time twisting his words, taking moments out of context, claiming team bias, citing mysterious insider sources who say stuff that just seems bizarre and goes directly against anything anyone has publicly ever said about him. And that subset of fans are predominantly the rabid ride or die Charles Leclerc portion of the Tifosi, aka the Licfosi. Now let's be clear, I am not criticising Charles Leclerc here, I am not criticising your garden variety Charles fan here, I am not even criticising the Tifosi as a whole. I'm not telling you you can't dislike people. We all dislike people for many reasons or for no reason at all. Sometimes you just get the ick and that's okay. Am I probably shooting myself in the foot as I shoot this video? I don't know, maybe, but you know what? I don't want the kind of fans who say the kind of horrific stuff I've seen over the years watching my videos anyway. No, this is directly in reference to the specific group of people who are so obsessed with their fave that they get stuck in an echo chamber full of other fans who are also obsessed in the same way they are, and then spend most of their energy online trying to spread that hatred beyond their immediate circle so they can infect other fans. Now, this is obviously not a problem exclusive to this group of people and how they feel about their driver's ex-teammate. It's a broad issue across F1 as a whole, and tribalism is a problem in sports in general. It's just that F1 and motorsport, as I've discussed in the past, is a bit of an odd duck in many ways. And in this case, it's the whole, we support this team, but we only really support one driver in this team that causes the conflict. And of the three teammates Charles has had during his time at Ferrari, with the exception of Sebastian Vettel in 2020, Carlos Sainz is the only one who has ever really given him a bit of a run for his money. Now, obviously, all of that can change if Lewis Hamilton gets his feet under him and turns this season around, and boy, wouldn't Team LH vs Charles fans be interesting, but for now, it's still a pretty solid fact. But why am I specifically talking about Carlos and not one of the other people I mentioned at the start, or even Lando Norris, who's been targeted significantly this year as well, and to be fair, suffers from broadly the same problem as Sainz that I'm about to point out. I'm talking about Carlos Sainz because even though he hasn't been a Ferrari employee for more than 6 months at this point, the Italian media is still making sure they find every opportunity to remind people how much they should hate him. A week ago, Sainz's episode of the High Performance podcast dropped. In it, he is incredibly honest, he's vulnerable, he acknowledges that there's two ways to react to being dropped, and that remaining dignified and professional about it is a choice. And today, our old favourite La Gazzetta dello Sport ran this headline. Now, the article itself is actually pretty factual. It has a few lines where it throws out the odd veiled barb, and to its credit, it does acknowledge Sainz's part in getting the team to second in the championship last year. But it's basically a collection of quotes taken directly from the podcast with the bare minimum of actual journalism in between, if any, really. But I guess at least it doesn't have 4 paragraphs of ad-filled, vaguely relevant backstory that everyone and their dogs read 47 times already before getting to the point, I guess. The article effectively exists to create an inflammatory headline. And it worked. The comments are filled with negative sentiment towards Sainz. Anyone who dares to pop in with something positive immediately gets a comeback from a hater. Unprofessional, selfish, only did the bare minimum because he was still being paid. Now, I normally subscribe to the old adage of never read the comments, but unfortunately, when part of your life is doing this, you've got to get down on your knees and kind of fish around in the muck occasionally. Gazzetta and the Italian media in general continue their trend of trying to drag down the one guy who ever gave their chosen one any sort of challenge. Scolding Sainz for the audacity to win races, claiming his management team and family created political chaos inside Ferrari, putting all the blame on him when the car was struggling, or saying he was favoured when the team made a strategic choice that ended with him ahead of Charles. And my favourite, claiming the pair hated each other's guts and Charles couldn't wait to get rid of Carlos. I mean, sure, that could be true, but as is proven by all the shell ads that they did over the years, they're both terrible actors. These are all things that Gazzetta and the Italian media did during Sainz's tenure at Ferrari, and the talking points that the Tifosi continue to parrot on various social media platforms to justify and validate their haterism. All while drivers and even the FIA have regularly been highlighting the increasing role social media is playing in negative fandom engagement and the direct abuse that drivers are receiving as a result. And to be fair, not even just drivers. In June, the FIA released this statement shared on the F1, F2 and F3 social media accounts. On behalf of our teams and drivers, F1, F2, F3 and the FIA, through the United Against Online Abuse campaign, firmly condemn abuse and harassment of any form. We'll continue to collectively act upon and report abuse to social media platforms. Whether you're a fan or part of the motorsport world, we are all driven by passion. At the heart of it all, there are humans. We urge everyone to remain respectful towards the athletes and their teams. Now, let's be real, that statement in and of itself felt like the FIA absolving themselves of any responsibility. It was a nothing burger. Look here, we told you, please don't do it. It's not nice. Go put yourself in the naughty corner and think about what you've done. Really effective, guys. It really stops those death threats in Lando Norris's DMs. But then at the same time, is there really anything anyone can do about this type of thing? Not really. We opened Pandora's box and the evils of people being able to just say whatever the heck they want from a keyboard has kind of been unleashed on the world and we can't take it back. I'm not condoning it. I can't stand this kind of crap, but I also don't agree with the idea of requiring people to use their true identities online, so I guess this is a bit of a rock and a hard place. But a really great place to start is the FIA holding media outlets accountable for their reporting and their headlines. Because you and I, the kind of people who watch and create YouTube videos, we might read the whole thing, but a large portion of people who are watching F1 are only seeing the one-liner out of context, or they might read the whole article, but that article has clear bias that's encouraging negative sentiment towards one specific person. Look at what Fred Vasseur had to put up with this year, and a lot of that has come from Gazzetta. So what's the solution? Well, step one is the FIA introducing a policy to remove media accreditation for publications that participate in the type of journalism that could be seen to be encouraging or inciting abuse. Yes, clickbait headlines drive traffic, which in turn increases revenue, but at the same time, accrediting journalists who editorialize in this manner is going directly against the FIA's own abuse policy. It might not be specifically doing the abusing, but it is inciting it. And granted, these articles will still exist even if the journalists no longer have access to the media centre on a Grand Prix weekend. However, for large publications like Gazzetta, it would be a pretty heavy blow to lose their access. One of the big problems with Formula One is the intense political nature of the sport as a whole. This kind of encourages the sort of reporting that relies on anonymous and mysterious paddock insiders who never have to actually back up their claims or show their faces. A lot of the time, those insiders have their own agenda and are giving sound bites in the hopes that it will push said agenda, or they're deliberately hoping to sow discord, or they lack any real credibility entirely and are just some person who said a thing. I mean, remember when everyone, including legitimate journalists, were going on about Carlos moving into Alex Albon's apartment because his pipes burst? And it was literally from a parody account. They weren't even living in the same building anymore at that point. F1 journalism feels like it exists on two extremes. You have either quality reporting like what you see on The Race or Autosport that's factual and yeah, sometimes might have some bias, but it doesn't incite the online mob. And then you have the sensationalist brigade who just write headlines for clicks and ad revenue. Or the Italian media whose main goal is to keep Charles Leclerc on his pedestal, glaze him at every chance they get, and appear to spend most of their energy looking for ways to tear down anyone who gets even remotely close to challenging him. Quality journalism is dying, but it's not dead yet. I'm going to use The Race as a bit of an example here. Yes, they still run ads on their website for unpaid users, but they have alternative revenue streams like Patreon and their members club that mean they're not beholden to the constant scroll that puts as many paid promotions in front of the reader's eyeballs as physically possible. This optional reader payment model is a good one because it means they need to continue to offer real value by way of quality reporting or risk losing that income. They also have their YouTube channel that presents their articles to an audience that prefers to engage with their news and updates via video rather than text. They don't rely on clickbait to get the dollar, and the fact that they always have someone present at every Grand Prix weekend is a testament to the fact that this model is working. Because you still got to pay to get there. Then you've got sites that are the opposite. They use clickbait to get traffic, they fill their copy with ads, and they use hyperbolic, unattributed claims and sound bites to increase engagement and thus serve more ads, which sometimes link you to sports betting agencies, which, God, that's a whole nother thing that I had further thoughts on last night. I'm not going to get into that today. It's time for the FIA to actually do something meaningful rather than put out statements that are nothing more than words on a screen that most people will scroll past. Start revoking media accreditation. Start making an example of publications who consistently use speculation and gossip to create harmful narratives around both drivers and team personnel. No, it's not going to get rid of the trolls, but giving them less ammunition is, well, you got to start somewhere, right? Thanks so much for watching to the end. If you enjoyed this video or got value out of it in any way, please consider clicking that subscribe button and make sure that you like the video so YouTube shows you my stuff again in the future. I also have a Patreon if that's your thing. Thanks so much to my supporters over there. The link's down in the description as well as right here on screen if you'd like to see your name in the credits. Ka kite, I hope to see you here next time. I am really interested to see if any of the comments in this video have got that little edited indicator on them. Surely somebody out there has shown their whole ass and regretted it.